Hello, Jaime back from Inky&Scrappy for our Let's Start stamping series. I am combining it with this week's, well, I guess it'll be last week's by the time this one goes live, Craft Roulette parameters. So if you haven't watched Craft Roulette or don't know what Craft Roulette is, it's like a, I don't know, they just spin the wheel for 4 parameters and then you have to make a card. Some guest, you know, is on, so they make it live and go from there. It's one of those things that kind of inspires you to create something that maybe you wouldn't create. If you're new to card making, it's great for that. Check out, they have a blog or a website that's craftroulette.live, and they have, like, I don't know, galleries from what other people have made with the parameters. So if you're ever looking for card ideas, it's kind of got a little bit of everything all across the board, like style wise. So that would be my suggestion for you to go and check that one out if you're looking for some ideas. And you know, maybe my style isn't your style, but there's definitely a lot of different options. And if you want to see what your possibilities are with like a set of 4 parameters, it's pretty much endless. As long as you can explain your way through them, you can do it, right? Because it's your art, it's your craft, that sort of thing. I think it's just kind of like a good jumping off point to kind of get you started. And when I'm in a funk, it's a very good starting point for me. So I actually have been doing them for, like, we do, you know, Craft Roulette has to be, how shall we say, family friendly. And so one of my crafty friends, Amy, said it'd be fun to make it not family friendly. And so we've been doing it over on the Potty Mouth Crafters Society. We've been doing them, following the parameters, but doing them not, shall we say, family friendly. You know, so anything goes, basically. So I made this one not family friendly, but I'm going to revamp it and make it family friendly for Craft Roulette this week. And you know, it was my card for Craft Roulette on the Let's, you know, or the Potty Mouth Crafters Society. I laughed that one. So if you don't have dies, don't feel you need the dies for this one, I will give you the measurements in just a second here. Let me run these all through quick. So I'm using Lawn Fawn's, I think it's the big and the small, stitched rectangle stacks. So there's 2 different stacks. There's definitely different ones out there. Don't feel like you need the Lawn Fawn ones. There are some other brands that have them all in one, which I think is a better deal for you. I just, when I could pick them up locally, I could use coupons and stuff and I could get them at a fairly reasonable price. I know there's other brands out there that offer them cheaper. I hope that makes sense. Like, I don't want you to spend more than you have to. So this one is an A2, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I really didn't need the die to cut it. I just wanted that stitch detail in there. That's kind of what I like the dies for. A, it's going to give me the stitch detail. B, it's going to make it a true A2 front. You know, I don't have to worry about my cutting issues. You know, I have cutting issues, right? Okay. And this one is 1, 2, 3, 4. This one is 5 inches by, I'm going to guess, 3 3/4. So 5 1/2 by 4 1/4, 5 by 3 3/4. So a 1/2 inch smaller than the first one. And then this one is 4 inches by 2, 4 inches by 2 3/4. So that would be what you'd cut your squares at, if that's what you're wondering about. I also cut it in a purple, and I'm just going to cut off. So I cut 2 in this size, and then I cut off just to kind of give me a base for my coffee cup to sit on. Sorry, I didn't grab the stamps. I didn't show you the stamp set. This is the stamp set I'm going to use for this one. It's not available, but any teacup style stamp set would work. So this one's, how shall I say? I didn't tell you what the project parameters were, did I? Can you say I'm out of practice because I took off a few weeks? So the project parameters are, the project has to have a tag on it. So a tag can mean anything. It can be a tag, like a tag for a gift, or it could just be a tag on your card. Or if you're like me and you're cheating, there is a tag on my tea bag. So that is my tag for my project. So don't feel you have to do like an actual tag. And then the colors are Disney. So I'm using Mrs. Potts colors from the Beauty and the Beast. And then the element was, what was the element? The random was branch. And so there's like the berry branch on my cup, which is going to work. What was the other one? See how I can't remember what they are when I'm supposed to be doing them? Oh, January. So the month of January. So I, on my other one, kind of said, I'm making it kind of like, you know, New Year's resolution, like maybe you have a little bit of advice for New Year's resolutions. So my other one was kind of like that New Year's resolution was kind of my cheat on that one. But January, I have my nanny's birthday is in January, so I thought about doing a birthday card. So that would work. Any holidays that are in January, any like random days. I should go switch my calendar over. I did buy a calendar that has all the like funky holidays on it, so you could pick any one of those to kind of go with it. January, if you're in Minnesota, it's cold. We haven't gotten snow, but it's cold. If you're out, you know, if you just got a lot of snow, that would be one to do in January. And then you could use frozen colors, which would work really well, right? I hope that's you know, about the extent of it. So this is basically my card layout. I'm gonna grab a new battery for my camera and I'll be right back. Let's zoom out a little bit more. My desk is a mess yet. I have not gotten to, you know, doing all the things I was supposed to probably do while I was, you know. Well, you know what? I can probably wiggle that one on here. So I'm gonna use my scrap piece here and try to wiggle it. I'll just hand cut today. I won't use the brother scan and cut. So I'm gonna do my mug. And I'll stamp that one twice. Oh, I guess I don't need to do that one right away, but because I'm going to emboss on this one first, I will go that route. So let me grab this one. Just using an anti-static powder tool. It'll help my embossing powder not stick to my paper where I don't want it to stick, right? So I'm using the VersaMark watermark stamp pad. You can also use an embossing stamp pad. This is just my preferred. So I'm going to stamp that one down. It looks like I have good coverage. You can't really see it on camera the greatest, but you can kind of see the embossing on there. Alright, so I'm just grabbed a scrap of paper out of the garbage. Not me digging in the garbage for scraps now. I want to make sure I have good coverage on there before I do my setting. I like to warm it up just a little bit, kind of on my hands, so I know that it's hot before I go to paper. I'm just going to hit this from the back first. And then I'll I'll go to the front. I know it's hot at this point, so it's going to melt it really well. And then I usually make sure, like if you go over it with the light, you don't want to overheat it. You just want to heat it so it sets. This gold stinks, I'm not going to lie. It's an older one. I don't know where it came from. It's in my stash. It's a little one, so I'm guessing it came with like a kit or something. But it stinks. Like, it smells like a melting crayon. Not going to lie. That's what it reminds me of. Anyways, it works. It looks glorious. So I'm going to remove that one, pop that one back on here, and then I'm going to stamp my little tea bag. I can probably move this one up here. And grab my Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink pad. The Jet Black is alcohol marker friendly. It's also waterproof, and so I use it a lot just because between this one and my Hero Arts one, they just work well for most of the mediums that I prefer. I do like doing the VersaFine Onyx Black and clear embossing powder for watercolor if I want it to stay in the lines. I think we're good there. So I will set that one off to the side, or in this case behind me. So for my colors, because I'm doing Mrs. Potts is like purple, and she's got a little bit of pink on her, and she's got a little bit of kind of a bluish, the images online kind of look like a bluish green, like a bluish tone, like maybe a tealy color, but I wanted to do, which one did I end up doing? Let's see here. I wanted to add a green in just for the purpose of the leaves. So that's kind of where the green kind of came from. And then the pinks. The pinks, the pinks, the pinks. So I think, I don't know if I did the mint green or the light mint. I know I did the forest because it's a deeper, darker green. I used two of those three greens, and those were my purple tones, I think. No, I don't remember. Those are pink ones. That one's like my pink tone. That was my pink. That was my lighter pink. Or this one was my lighter pink. That's my lighter pink. Maybe. I think I did fruit pink. I'll figure it out eventually here. Pale blue violet. Did I do that one? I'm thinking I didn't. Oh, you know what? I put those markers away already. That's what I did. Let me see if I can find. All right, let's reassess here. All right, for my marker colors, I kind of pulled out those three greens. I don't know which ones I'm going to use exactly yet. I don't know how dark I want it. That one's fairly dark. I think I'm going to probably end up with this one, which is a little bit lighter, and this is probably my mid-tone in here. So I'm probably going to use the lighter of the two. I don't need the darker one. So we'll set that off to the side. That's what happens when I have 35 different ink colors on my desk. So I have pale blue violet, but I don't think I need it. I'm going to go with the lavender and the pastel violet. For this one, you could definitely pull in that pale blue violet if you wanted to. And then I think I'm going with the light violet. It's like a kind of like a hot pink color. and then maybe the fruit pink to kind of blend that one out. We'll see how it blends. You know, we'll go from there. And then for my gold toned color, I ended up going with yellow ochre, I don't know how to say that word. Please forgive me. So I kind of use that as my gold on my teacup. So I'm just going to start coloring and we'll go from there. I also pulled in like a lighter color for my tea bags, like to color in between and around, just to kind of give it I don't know, kind of like that tea stain look. I went with a tea dye look, so I think I did more in for that one. I'm not positive. We'll work it out. So I'm gonna do one color blends for my gold. So I like to let it dry just a little bit in between. For the teacup, I like to come in from the outside, just come in a little ways on each of them. You can do that once or you can do it twice, but I always go over your first layer first, and then you add in your next layer. So maybe I want it to be a little bit more rounded looking, and by doing that second layer over the top of some areas, it's going to make it darker. So I'm going to go with my third. I think I only did 2 on my original, but we'll do 3 this time for teaching purposes. But go over that whole area you covered the final time, and that'll give you that rounded look. Let me zoom in here, sorry. So that'll give you that rounded look a little bit better. If that's something that you're working on color-wise and you wonder how to get it, that's kind of how I do it. So I'm pretty sure this is the pink I went with. So for my pink, I'm just kind of going to do that same thing, but I'm bringing in that lighter toned pink on this one. I'm also going to add pink to the little berries on that branch. And down below here. And this I usually try to work fairly quick because I want to blend it with my pale fruit pink a little bit better. So I'm gonna kind of hit that a little bit. It's not the right color, is it? I don't know what color I used to blend, to be honest. Let's see here. Well, either pastel pink or rose pink, because that was not the right one. That could be. That's definitely bright. I guess we could do pastel. Let's try pastel pink there. It's going to be bright and bold. It's not the color I want, but it's the color I got. Let's try the other one. I think the other one's going to be a softer pink. Rose pink is the color I want. Do what I say, not what I do, obviously. Okay. All right. This is what happens when we wait until the last minute to do our Let's Start Stamping series. So if you caught last week's live, I think I'll be doing a few more of those. I really enjoy doing lives, as much as they're tend to be a hot mess because, well, okay, at least Saturdays was a hot mess. It is still up currently as of January 11th. I don't know if I'm going to leave it up or not. You know, I was a hot mess. I'll probably leave it up because whatever, it's there. And you know, that's me. That's how I create. So it was definitely extra because I tend to be extra in general and I love being extra. So if you want to watch, go ahead and watch. If that's not your thing, I'm okay with that. But I think I might be doing a few more lives on Saturdays. So if I start doing some more lives on Saturdays, I will probably post my Let's Start Stamping series on a couple of days before or a couple days after, depending upon where I'm at in my schedule. I kind of talked about cutting back on all of the things in my live. I don't know. YouTube is, sometimes it's a lot of work for nothing. And sometimes it just, I don't know. The numbers kill my vibe, like my creative, I don't know, my creative flair, I guess. And so I might step back a little bit from all the YouTube videos. Not completely. I enjoy teaching and creating. And so I just I don't think I'm going to put as much pressure on myself this year to make sure I do all the things. I like my Let's Start Stamping series, so I don't think that one's going away. It will probably stick around. I'm just struggling with keeping cards simple, and so I have to find kind of my mojo on that one again, because yeah, I like to be extra in general, and so I haven't been overly inspired to create lately, and so when I am, I want to do all of the things, and yeah, so it kind of, sometimes it makes stepping back a little bit harder. It is what it is. So for my flowers here, I'm coming in with my darkest purple, kind of like where your shadow would be in the flower, so kind of like deeper in the petal. I want it to be darker because it's going to be in kind of like in shade. I did the same thing with my cup handle there, where you do the dark and then the light in the middle, and so this one is kind of the same. So coming in with that lighter purple, I like to go over my darker purple. It's going to help blend it better. It's not going to totally get rid of that dark purple. It will mute it a little bit, so it will, once it dries, it'll kind of blend back a little bit better. If your purples aren't as close as my purples are, go over it a couple of times and I think you'll like your results. And it doesn't have to be too picky on this one. I like to go in circles a lot of times when I'm not going for that rounded look, just to make sure that my color blends, or straight lines. I'm really not consistent, can I say that, without, I'm not trying to be, I'm not overly consistent sometimes. It depends on the area. Larger areas tend to take a little bit more to get them to blend, and so sometimes going with the circle movement and getting a heavier, I don't know, it's hard to say. It's really a practice thing. So mint green and light mint green. One would say mint green is going to be my darker shade, right? Okay. I mean, that's what I would hope, but sometimes the markers aren't exactly like one would think. So for my leaves, I kind of did darker towards the bottom. I just did one color on those little teeny tiny leaves because, you know, they're pretty little. I was trying to decide if that was like a leaf behind the leaf there. I guess it probably is. I didn't color it like that on my other one, but we'll color it like that on this one. And then coming in with that lighter one, it really doesn't look that much lighter, does it? Oh well, you probably could have gone with one color here and nobody would have known. It says it's mint green light. The other one said mint green, but you know, shall we say, naming is not always on par with the actual marker. Just saying. And so there's that one. Do I want to finish? Where is, I didn't do more, and I came in with probably like a pale cream or a shell white color, which isn't in. I could do cream color. Let's go with cream color. So cream color is in, I think, the 36 skin tones pack, so E191. Yeah, that'll give me just a little bit of shadow in here. I really probably wouldn't need much of this, just kind of hitting some of it so it kind of looks like it has maybe a weathered or an aged look to, and if it's sticking to the outside, it's kind of going to make it look a little more rounded. That wasn't, I don't know if I'm going to like that color for my tea bags. We could probably go with, let me try this one. That's probably going to be my better color. So for the tea bags, I am going to do that E477, that Morin color, and just kind of swoop up from down below. I don't want to do the whole bag. I just kind of want to pull up. You know when you dip a tea bag in and it kind of like starts to suck up from the bottom? That's kind of like the look I was going for. So it's not all colored in. It just kind of has a tea dye effect to it. I'll do the same thing on this one. And this I just went with one layer for the most part, and then kind of added some second layer highlights here and there, just to kind of give some color variation. So nothing fantastic or super there, pretty easy. And you can come in with your colorless blender and bleed that out a little bit if it's too dark for you. And then I'm going to color kind of the same way that I did down below. I just don't have that gold embossing powder, so smaller areas I'm not overly concerned with blend. And then because I don't have that gold embossing powder, I can just kind of take my lightest color and kind of go over the whole area. I don't really have to hit each petal individually. And then we'll do one, I don't know. They just look like they're the same color when I put them down. I'm feeling like old lady eyes today, I guess. I think I colored the light mint green instead of the mint green. Okay, I'm just going to go over the whole area one more time then. No harm, no foul. I don't know, kind of looks the same to me. Alright, that's that. Do I want to hit that with colorless blender? So colorless blender is kind of going to bleed out your color a little bit. So say I want this to be a little bit lighter. I'm just going to go over it with that colorless blender, and it's going to kind of push the color into the paper a little bit more. So if you see like it's pushing it into the paper, like when you go over areas, it's going to seep through your paper. That's kind of what the colorless blender does. It kind of pushes it into the paper a little bit more, so it'll lighten it up a little bit. So as this dries, you'll see how much more light, the lighter it's gotten as opposed to the original. Does that make sense? So I'm going to do that down here as well, just to kind of, and then, you know, because my green, I don't know, I use the same color, so that'll push that out and through a little bit more. As it dries, it'll get a little bit lighter. Now for my gold, I probably colored on a couple of areas. If you take this end and you're very careful with it, you can kind of swipe over maybe the top of some areas that got a little bit too much green on them or a little bit too much purple. Just be careful that you don't mix your colors. It's going to pick it up on there. You're going to want to kind of clean out the tip of your brush when you're all done. So, or your marker when you're all done. It will pick up, you know, if you feel that you got, like up here, I definitely got some pink. And you see how it kind of picks it up, and it is going to move it around, so be careful with it. But it's one way to kind of get it off of that embossing powder. I usually don't worry about it a whole lot. I don't think I did with my other one. Let's see. I guess we can cut it out on camera, and if it's too long, I'll edit it out. So for this one, I kind of went right next to it today. Sometimes I leave a little bit of a border. Sometimes not so much. I tried to get as close to the embossed line as I could. Moving your image to meet the scissors will help if you struggle with fussy cutting. Don't move the scissors, move your image. So cutting it off if you need to kind of help you get into areas. I'm cutting some embossing powder off. It happens. Now for the handle, I did cut it off on my original, not cut the handle off, I cut the inside out. So I just take the tip of my scissors, usually in the fatter area, and kind of start there, and then I slowly work my way to the outside and try to use that scissor tip where I need it to kind of give me, you know, you're working in that really little area, and so sometimes it works to just kind of snip off so you have a little bit more wiggle room that way with your scissors. Sometimes it's just a difficult cut, and you know, we do the best we can, right? I'm not great at cutting from that side, I'm not gonna lie. My other one went way smoother, probably because I wasn't trying to make it look pretty. Well, I was, but you know, I wasn't trying to make it look like, I don't know, it just went easier. I must have started in a different spot. Okay, it's not perfect, but at least you can kind of see through it. And then we'll do the same for these. So I'm gonna turn off the camera and cut out my little tea bags here. I'll be back. So I have my images cut here. I'm gonna bring in some distress inks and kind of play. I got some oxides. I think I had more lipstick out, but I think I'm gonna go with Festive Berries. And I think Seedless Preserve is probably, I don't know if that's the right color. Villainous Potion might be my close. Concord, Dusty Concord is probably the best color for my mark, to match my marker. So that Festive Berries, Dusty Concord. I want to kind of keep it light. I know that I'm going to have purple down on the bottom there. So let me grab my purple brush. Should have a red one here. And then of course my tea dye ink. So I'm going to start with the Distress Oxides. If you have regulars or you have dye ink, go ahead and use those. I'm really just kind of want to do a really light background here. You could even leave this piece white if you wanted to. I just wanted to add a little bit of color to it. We might even do some splatter today because, you know. It's how I roll. So I'm just kind of coming up a little bit with that tea dye ink. It's a nice light brown color. So the Festive berries I'm going to bring in. And this is going to be a really bright, you know, it's going to be, so I'm going to go really light-handed. I hope that makes sense. Like, it can be a really dark color. So I want to go in fairly light here. I don't want to overpower my card images. I'm just going to kind of pull that towards the top, kind of fading it out. So I'm going really light-handed. You can always add more. You can't, it's harder to take it off. I hope that makes sense. Like, I would rather have to come back over it again a second time or third time, as opposed to adding too much color and then regretting it. And for the purple, I just kind of want to hit just that top little edge a little bit. And I really didn't even ink up my brush. I'm kind of using the purple that was on there, and I'm just going to blend that into that light pink. Just a teeny tiny bit. So the paper that I'm using for blending is the Ohuhu marker paper today. That's just what I grabbed. You can definitely do Bristol Smooth. Heavy stock would work fairly well. Let me find my ink rag. Clean up my mess. And then, because I feel like I haven't splattered for a while, I'm going to bring in that Winsor & Newton watercolor, iridescent watercolor medium, and we're just going to give it a little spray. Nothing a lot, just a little bit. It'll dry and add a little bit of interest to that panel. So if you're using a dye ink, you should get a little bit of a reaction. Some of them don't, but for the most part, a lot of them give you a little bit of reaction. So we'll set that off, let that dry. I'm going to bring in my purple piece here, and I think I'm going to go where there's tea, there is hope. Kind of like that hope of a new year and new adventures and all of those good things. That's where I'm going with that one. But please remember, just because it's a new year and you have to make a resolution does not mean that it has to be a resolution for good. It could be a resolution for evil. Just saying. I'm pretty sure I'd be able to keep my resolution if I said I was going to eat a chocolate bar a day. At least one chocolate bar a day. I mean, right? I think I could keep that resolution. And then I feel like I was winning because I was keeping my resolution, right? Sounds good in my head. Probably not for my waist. Whatever. I'm going to use the VersaFine Onyx Black ink today to stamp that one on. It is my go-to for sentiment stamping. And I made a mess. It's all good. I made a mess in my finger too, so I'm going to try to get all the ink off. We know how this is going to go, right? I'm going to have inky goodness everywhere. Oh, the joys. I think we got it good. I'm going to try it not to touch it while it's still wet. It does take a little bit for it to dry, at least on the close to my heart paper. Because it's like I think it's a printed paper, right? So it kind of has like, I don't know. Some papers they like suck in and dry right away, and some papers they kind of sit on top for a little bit. That would be one of them. So I'm also going to bring in that cumins are like tea bags. We don't realize our strength until we're in hot water. I guess you could do don't kettle for second best on here too. You could do bestie, you know, well, you know, obviously because the likelihood of you having the actual stamps that I'm using is right. I like to go with a bigger one or something a little bit bigger on top here. I'm going to just kind of come in and dry that area just a teeny tiny little bit. I think for the most part it's dry, but I want to make sure that it's a little bit better. A little bit more dry. Okay. We're gonna come in here with this one, and I know where my image is going to go on this one because I've done this one already, but even on my original, I kind of knew. I laid out my image, kind of figured out my placement, then put my snarky little sentiment on there and went with it. I might have that piece in the way, we'll see. I don't know if it went. I think we're good. Okay. And you could go something bigger back there, some text. I don't know. I like text. Even just if it doesn't make sense, just a text background. You could also do stenciling onto the background if you wanted some interest there, but you didn't want to add a sentiment. That would work as well. Let me put this one back on here. And then I will bring in all of my pieces. So we'll start with these. So I'm just going to add some glitter art glue onto the back of this one, tape runner, whatever your adhesive choice is. I think I'm actually using Barely Art glue because I refilled all of my glue bottles for class and such, and I ran out of glitter art. So I think mine is topped off with Barely Art. It's probably going to mix in the bottle. We'll see how it does. I think the Barely Art gives you a little bit more wiggle room time-wise to dry. I think. Don't quote me. What am I doing? Don't quote me on that one, but I think it kind of feels like I have a little bit more dry time with it, or wiggle time with it. And it could just be the thickness of it, or, you know, it could be in my head too. I should have done a second layer of the where there is tea, there is hope, but such is life. I'm gonna just put this one on with that glue as well. Kind of aiming for the center here. Measuring with my eyeballs. Just so you know, I have astigmatism, so everything's kittywampus in my head anyway. So if it looks crooked, well, you know, maybe it looks straight to me. It's all good. So for my teacup, I'm going to pop that one up. I just think it's going to give it just a little bit of something here to kind of pop it up a little bit, make it stand out a little bit. And this way you can kind of layer those tea bags underneath and behind a little bit. You can kind of tuck them. I know I had like a half a piece somewhere in here. Well, I'm not finding it. So I'm going to use that 1/8 inch foam stripping for my handle. If you take off the adhesive from both sides, yes, it's sticky to work with, but it will bend along your curve a lot better. I do this for any of my shaker cards that kind of have like rounded edges or curves, and that way you can get it on there without having to cut multiple little pieces. It works well. I'm going to leave those kind of open. I would have probably put another piece here, but it'll be fine. I'm definitely not an over foam taper. Okay. I'm glad we had that discussion. Now let's see. I'm gonna go here with this one. I kind of want it. See how it's just gonna kind of, I didn't test it out before, but it actually works really well with that sentiment. The top of the teacup kind of tucks in and up. Cool beans. Okay, now for this one, I'm just gonna kind of, well, this one might not work like the other one did. Well, I may only get one tea bag on the front. The other one I got 2. I liked the 2, but that's okay. So I'm just gonna put some glue on here. I'm gonna have to lift up the handle a little bit, I think. Where's my reverse tweezers? I need an extra hand. More finicky hand. Okay. So I'm just gonna come in with my tea bag here. I'm okay with the tea bag hanging off the side. I think it's kind of cute that way. Kind of extends that scene outside of that rectangular border. I just don't think, well, I can't go there. So my other sentiment was like that long, and so it worked. Maybe I could just do Could do it over there. Maybe. I can probably tuck it in here. I don't know. Maybe I'll do a little bit of gems there and we'll tuck that one on the inside. It happens. All right. Grab my half sheet of, let's see, Accent Opaque 100 pound cardstock or 110 pound cardstock, 120, somewhere in there. I like the heavy stuff for my card bases, probably because I do heavy cards, or you know, I tend to have a lot of weight to them. Keep in mind the heavy cardstock base, if you do a lot of layers, you might end up needing to add an additional out stamp if you're mailing it. If you had a lot of layers, you might need that, you know, the non-machinable stamp as well. Ask me how I know. Yeah, it's all right. I'll send a lot of stuff that requires extra postage. I still feel like I want it there. I don't know. It just doesn't look like it's gonna fit there, does it? But my tea bag tag, because that was my project, right, is kind of hidden, but we'll go with it. Alrighty, so for the inside, where there's tea, there's hope. Let's see if I have. I'm going to pull in my Treats of a Friendship from, this one's All Occasions, close to my heart. So this one is definitely not available anymore because they're not even in business anymore. But this one has the You're Like a Cup of Tea, You Warm My Heart. So I'm going to go with that one today. Do I want to do, I'm just going to go with, I was going to maybe put some colored ink on here. I'm just going to go with that VersaFine, which is all over my fingers, so I'm bound to get it. I think we'll go right, well, we could go there with it too. I like putting images on the inside, especially if I colored too many for on the outside. I will put, if I have enough for a mini scene, I'll do that on the inside, but like for this, I can just add that tea bag on there, and then that completes my card. I don't know, do I need extras on there today? I could do some sprinkles or something. Let's see here. Do I have, my favorite sprinkles are probably the cave crystals from Trinity stamps. I was thinking I have some purpley ones too. I don't know if that's the right purple though. I don't think so. That's Twilight. There should be a focus purpose one in here too. Those are like, those ones kind of have a purple tint to them. Let's pop that open. The other ones are clearer. We'll just do the clear ones. I still have not found my little tray that I use. I've been missing it for like, you know, I haven't cleaned off all of my desk yet because I've been busy. So I have these that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. They were like a 12 pack. Oh, I could have probably grabbed a clean one in the corner. This one's just got dried Winsor & Newton iridescent watercolor medium. Sometimes I re-wet it and stick it on there, call it good. So I'm just gonna add just 3 little ones down here. Let me grab my gem picker or my jewel Crystal Katana jewel picker here. And I'm gonna go for 3 different sizes. Big, little, big, big, middle, and little. And oops. Oh, I should pack some of those for card class. Anyways, so there is that completed card for you. Humans are like tea bags. We don't realize our strength until we're in hot water. Where there's tea, there is hope. And then you're like a cup of tea. You warm my heart with that added tea bag on the inside. Let's see here. I can cover up a word and then you can see my original, right? So this one has not everyone's cup of tea, and then it has a word under it that's not family friendly, and then it from one old bag to another. So that was my, you know, advice for New Year's. Yeah, not everyone's cup of tea. It's okay. Move on, right? And then from the bottom of my cup, I crossed out a heart. I don't give a hoot nanny, okay? So that's kind of how this one came about, because I did the other one, first. And yeah, I like how it turned out. So we got to make it again on video, because I did not do it on, I did it for, if you follow me on Instagram, you saw the original. I did it for the Just for Giggles hop. So I may have only made it like the night before and only got done taking pictures and posting it like half an hour before it was supposed to go up. Yeah, not cutting it close at all this week. I'm in procrastination mode this week. I've just been busy doing other things. But so, you know, and this one I actually stamped with the VersaFine Onyx black ink, and then I went over it with the embossing powder. I like it better with the clear embossing powder, but I did do this one twice. So I stamped it, embossed it, put it back in, because I had it in my Misty, so you have that, you know, the corner, which makes it easier to reline it up for stamping. So I did it a second time because it didn't cover very well. I did go over it with the colorless blender. I think it kind of dulls or dims some of that gold embossing powder, so keep that in mind. But I had way too much overage, and so I needed to kind of clean that up a little bit. So it kind of just gives it that older tarnished gold look, which I was fine with, you know. But anyways, there is my Craft Roulette / Let's Start Stamping series card for today. So I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Keep getting inky, and we will see you soon. Bye.